Welcome everybody to Breaking Balls. I'm Joe, and we're going to talk college football picks today. There are a lot of buys, but a lot of interesting games, and we're testing a new strategy, which I'll get into. Remember, we started this season using AI to research, look for some possible lines that would give us an edge, and we're going to abandon that early season strategy that did work pretty well, but now we're going to move to like a mid-season strategy involving overs, unders. We'll look at the results so far. But yeah, great day for college football today, despite the buys. We got some good games. We're about to kick off at noon here. We've got Clemson, Syracuse, pretty interesting. And then Texas Tech, Utah, two ranked teams. And then as the day goes on, we got, the Florida States, the Oklahomas, Tennessee coming off a rough loss last week. But yeah, let's get to the picks and then we'll talk a little more. How's that? So here are the results so far. We're 10-7. We're up about 2.5 units. Parlays we're even, and I'm gonna abandon parlays this week. It's cutting into the win rate, and a little too much gambling for me. But anyway, last week we had Ole Miss missed a spread by one, which kind of sucks. A lot of the games we've lost, we got 7 losses. I want to say 3 of them are by 1 point spread, which means we're in the ballpark in this early season strategy. And the early season strategy we'll get into here. Um, we were looking for ranked versus unranked teams with spreads that were less than 36. In 2024, the margin of victory for these games was 36. There were differences between home and away, but generally speaking, 36. We were looking to bet ranked teams against unranked teams if the spread was, you know, 20 or less, which back tested had a pretty good win rate. There were some upsets. We managed to avoid all but one of the massive upsets. And you could see in 2025, the average margin of victory for those games was 28, right? We had, you know, um, Florida Southern, big upset. We had Florida State, big upset week one. This threw off the margin of victory. But this was only meant for early season where the assumption was that the rankings were just wrong, right? The rankings were wrong and there was a lot of hype and not really data backing these lines. It worked well. But now we're going to look at an over under strategy where I use AI again to project the total points scored and then add in pace of play, which is how many plays on average teams are running for their time of possession, which could make the difference if we're betting overs, and that's mainly what we're doing. So let's look at the over-unders first. All right. Well, got this Illinois-Indiana game. Both teams score a lot of points. I understand that they're ranked, meaning they should theoretically have decent defenses. Over 52, 52 and a half. I like this over. Um, let's see. I don't remember the exact line here, but you're looking at like, a 27-23 game or, something like that is very possible in this game. 38 to 14, something like that, right? 30, it shouldn't 38 to 14, 38 to, 17 would be beautiful. But anyway, I took the over in this game. And then we got Florida State, Kent State, 56.5. Florida State ranked 7. Maybe they shouldn't be ranked 7, but they are. And they play with a chip on their shoulder. I think they'll be less inclined to pull their starters early in this game. I think if it gets out of hand, they will pull some starters, but that should only lead to making it easier for Kent to score. I like this over. I took it. These two was pretty convinced on using the new strategy, which does need some tweaking, but we're going to roll with these games for the overs. Now for under, Tennessee and UAB here, 68.5. Tennessee's coming off a rough loss last week where their defense kind of failed them. You know they're going to work on defense. You know that Tennessee's a really hard place to play for visitors. I don't think Tennessee is going to score the 68.5 by themselves. So I took the under here because this was opposite the AI strategy that we are implementing today. Last night had Iowa. Iowa was only favored by 2.5. I was going to make the spread minus 6.5 because remember, Iowa's 2-1, Rutgers undefeated, but Iowa's only loss came against Iowa State, a pretty good ranked team at the time, and they played them really tough. Iowa State did not cover that spread. So I'm like, well, how can Iowa be only favored by 2.5? I get Rutgers is home. So we took Iowa last night, and it hit. The next one is Miami, and my graphic is incomplete here, but we are, there it goes. We are taking Miami minus 7.5 against the Gators. Gators having a rough go. Coach's job is on the line, it seems. And Miami's ranked 4. Well, we'll see if they deserve this ranking this week. Expecting a blowout here, but the Florida teams overall have been pretty hard to gauge in this early season. Big game here. Auburn at Oklahoma. I like Oklahoma. We took them 2 weeks ago where they beat Michigan handily. Their defense is very good. I don't think the 7 points is really a big deal here to lay. Oklahoma's home. Their defense seems solid. Auburn's going to have a tough time. I don't trust the rankings after, 16, 17, 18. Auburn may not be ranked on most people's power rankings. So I'm happy to take Oklahoma here. All right, just looking down to make sure I didn't miss anything. And no, I did not. So we've got these 6 games. Right? We've got the Tennessee under. We've got the FSU Indiana overs. I like all those bets. I've been working all week to back test the strategy. It's all right. AI has trouble pulling some data, so I was cautious. I didn't just bet 9 games this week like I could have. But then we've got Oklahoma giving 7, Miami giving 7.5. I feel all right about these. And then Iowa last night hit. The spread was only 2.5. I know my graphic said 3.5. That was wrong. But, the spread should have been 6.5, and I almost went with that. But, it wouldn't have shifted the odds enough, I don't think, to make it worthwhile. Anyway, looking to have a winning week. The last 2 weeks, we were 2-3. Our parlays are not coming through. This week, I really filtered it down to these handful of games. Pretty confident. Let me know in the comments if you went another way or if you've been riding this along with me. And we're doing all right. But we're looking to pull ahead this week.